Greetings, greetings, greetings. It's an honor to be here with you once again. Here at Lead Live, LEAD stands for Leadership Excellence and Achievement on Demand. Today, our topic is Copy That. Everything is duplicatable. We are very fortunate to have the guest, Tommy Morgan Jr., an Emmy Award winning, Clio Award winning executive producer, and LinkedIn Master Career Strategist and Change Consultant. This former actor was born and reared in Los Angeles and has been involved in over 70 films, television, and stage plays since the beginning of his career. In the theater realm, Tommy has toured the stage, plays to over 20 cities, and co produced I Am 4, starring Blair Underwood, a one man show that sold out audiences across the country. Now, this gentleman producing skills began to take shape when he produced a feature called Bridge to Nowhere, starring Ben Rames, a film that was the directorial debut of Blair Underwood, his colleague. So Morgan and Underwood formed a production company called Intrepid Incorporated, which creates and produces original programming for television and film. Intrepid Incorporated has sold shows to several networks, including ABC, Showtime, NBC, CBS. Their NBC show, Give, which is currently in its second season, was instrumental and then receiving a Clio Award as well as a 2017 Emmy. I'm dating myself, putting him into the 1900s with this, but that was 2017 when they received the Emmy for that remarkable show, Give. Most recently, Morgan was instrumental in a groundbreaking concept, and that groundbreaking concept in the unscripted space soon to be aired on ABC. Now, Morgan's attributes, his successes, to a solid family foundation, a forgiving and trusting God, and a love and zest for life. He is able to be reached online, and intentionally, I'm sharing his contact information for all those who'd like to leverage him. Because when we're done with this particular short podcast, you're going to want to reach out to him. And you'll learn why in just a moment. So, as Jethro brings this remarkable gentleman into the studio, I want you to know that Tommy Morgan Jr. is always all about results, continuous learning as a part of ensuring that the results he produces and he helps other people to produce knock it out the water and actually are much more profound than people initially thought they might be. For that matter, I don't know. I'm going to ask you this question in a few moments, Tommy. I'm wondering if you knew when you were 8 years old, when you were 10 years old, when you were 12 years old, that you'd be where you're at right now, that you have influences, the number of people you've influenced to date, that you've impacted lives, individuals who will never potentially meet you, through the work that you and others created? That's a question. But before I ask that question, I want to ask you to share something about yourself that we would otherwise not know because it's not in social media. You've not shared it in any kind of public forum. And yet it illuminates the power or the the vision you have for your life and why you've been as effective and successful as you've been.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and happy holidays to you and your staff. I appreciate
Honor.
it.
Thank you.
Um, wow, that's a great question. I always knew when I was very young what I wanted to do, um, and because my parents exposed me to so many things, sports and film and television and literature and art, and it was kind of easy for me to pick a path. So I was just kind of, I was an okay student. It wasn't that I wasn't applying myself. I was just bored. You know, the War of 1812 had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. So I always knew that I was going to excel in arts and entertainment. I didn't know how, but I knew that was the field that I wanted to be in. And I was always intrigued with business. So somehow those worlds merged, and I'm able to influence an awful lot of people through my failures and successes, actually.
Mm. When we talked, you shared a bit about your parents and you just mentioned them. Can you go a little bit deeper in terms of how you took whatever they gave you, whatever they modeled for you,
Mhm.
whatever they said to you, as part of giving you gifts, how you
Well,
took that?
well, my dad especially. My dad would ask me and my sister at the dinner table, "So, kids, what you guys feel at today?" And we tell him, and he'd give us a high five. Now, I didn't know that he was planting seeds in us not to be afraid of failure. So I
Mm.
think that's where I get my
Wow.
from, because I'm not afraid to fail at anything. In fact, if I went broke tomorrow, I got a laptop and a phone. Trust me, I'm gonna be all right. Okay. So my whole thing is,
Mm,
I'm just not afraid to fail and try different things.
love it.
And then I was always taught to jog in my own lane,
Hmm,
um, so I don't follow what everybody else is doing.
mm,
Okay, I wanted to be true to myself and what I wanted to do. So I guess by being authentic, it kind of sets a tone for, you know, my clients, and it sets a tone for my work as an actor, because not just as an actor, but as a producer, because I know what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do, if that makes sense.
yes, it does, but it seems like there's so much fire under what you just said. You know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do.
Mhm.
Where does that come from?
Well, I think that we all have the same 24 hours. Okay. We have 24 hours, and you have to be very, very careful about how you spend your time, because um, once your time is spent, it can't be recouped. So you've got to be very careful about how you spend your time. I spend my time on things that I'm passionate about.
Mm,
I hear every day, "Tom, I got the best project for your partner Blair." I'm like, "No, that's the best project for you. You didn't ask the man what he wants to do." Okay. And they asked me, "Tom, I got the best project for you guys to produce." I'm like, "No, that's the best project for you." Okay. Because you didn't ask us what we want to do. We have our own agendas and things that we want to do. Like, for example, this happened just this morning. Okay. There's this guy that reached out to me, and he has an amazing cooking show. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it has a big name star attached to it and everything. But I'll be bored out of my mind producing a cooking show. That's not what I do.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
So I don't care how much money it's going to make. I'm just not interested. So we have to be very clear about what we are willing to do and what we're not willing to do. And that's
That's
just not.
powerful. You are a builder.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you love, and that's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And you said to me that God, you made this declaration, whether it's prayer or meditation, however you perceived it and you lived it. You said, God, please allow my art to take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that? Or what did you
Well,
mean by that?
well, that was my prayer when I first got into this
Mm,
business.
mm,
I just wanted to do what I love. And I don't care whether I was in a one room with a roommate.
mm,
I just wanted to do what I loved. Or if I was balling out of control, I just wanted to do what I loved. And my art has sustained me and taken care of me for many, many, many years, just because I'm very clear about, my agenda and what I'm willing to do and what I'm not. So I spend my energies on things that make me happy. And so it allows me to flourish creatively. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not on social media. I don't, I just explained this to someone just the other day. Um, McDonald's doesn't wake up every morning and jump on social media and see what Burger King is doing. They just focus on what they do. And they focus on building the best burger that they know how to build. And they find their tribe and have their tribe find them. That's why they do good business. Okay. So again, we all have the same 24 hours. I'll give you an example on what I mean by that. This just recently happened. So I have a client, and I repackaged him. He had never made more than $44,000 a year, ever. Okay. He's in the IT space. And so I completely repackaged him and put him out in the marketplace as an expert in his field. So long story short, the first offer that came in was just under 98.5. He had never made over 44,000. So 98.5 was a lot of money to him. He's like, let's take it. I said, bro, we can't take that. We can't take it. One, is the first offer. Secondly, okay, you have to find out what comes along with that 90. So here's my point. Okay, we argued over that for 2 days. Keep in mind, I'm his client. I mean, he's my client. I work for him. So I took the offer. He was scared they were going to rescind it. Okay, so we took the offer. Here's the lesson. We all have the same 24 hours. Okay, you wake up from 8-hour slumber, right? They tell you get your 8 hours, right? Okay, that's 8 hours. Then you work a full-time job for 8 hours. Okay, that's 16 right there. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 1 hour each. You're now at 19 hours. Okay. And if you're like me, you got to wake up, get your fit together. Okay, that's going to be about an hour, getting dressed and getting fly, right? Okay, you're now at 20 hours. This guy has to drive an hour and a half to work. And here in Los Angeles, we have this thing called the 405 freeway.
Oh,
we call it the slow 05 or the 405 parking lot. Okay, he has to drive an hour and a half to work, hour and a half from work. That's 3 hours total. Add that to the 20. That's 23 hours out of his 24 gone. This dude is miserable. He's miserable. Oh, but he's making 98.5. Okay. So my point is, he didn't ask all the correct questions so he can give an intelligent answer. Okay. So you have to be very, very careful about how you spend your time, because once it's spent, it's not recoupable.
That's powerful. We're going to come back to that, because the understanding that all we have is time beyond our own capacity to make choices, decisions. We just have time. And it is not guaranteed. We have the time that we're in, really. We don't have the time tomorrow. We plan for tomorrow. We have great hopes for tomorrow. We build for tomorrow, but we really only have the moment that we're in this time.
Can I check you on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Please check me.
Tomorrow is guaranteed. Oh, it's 100% guaranteed. The sun will come up tomorrow. It's just not guaranteed to you.
Excellent.
So what we need to do is to make the best of the time that we have. And you and I spoke yesterday in our prelim. You know, I think it's very important to provide service to people. It's very, very important. Most people get that twisted. I was in Nashville, and I got off stage. I was speaking at a film conference, and this guy comes up to me. He's, Tom, man, I'm about to move to Los Angeles. I'm a writer. If I just meet Steven Spielberg. I'm like, well, okay. I didn't say this to him, but my thought was, okay, if you meet Steven Spielberg, okay, then what? What is he going to drop what he's doing and just help you? Okay. So my thinking as a businessman is, there are only two positions that you can be in business. You're either an asset or a liability. Okay. And most intelligent business people try to eliminate their liabilities. Okay. So if you're standing in line and you're calling Steven Spielberg and you're just sweating him about helping you, you are a liability. And he's just going to delete you and get you out of his life because he's focused on what he needs to do. Okay. So you need to become an asset. And that's in life, period. Become assets to people, because when you're an asset, then people need you. And they want to keep you around, and they take care of you, and they pay you well. Okay. So most people get that twisted. I believe that to be successful in anything, you need to become an asset. not a liability.
You got it. Hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
You're about building, and you demonstrated that by building yourself. And then you, as part of that, built relationships. And not necessarily because you were trying to build yourself, you had a vision, you were going to pursue it, you were going to actualize it. And yet, at some point, you understood that other people were critical to that. And you talk about that because you build yourself, you build others, you build opportunities, you do much more. Building relationships is powerful. Speak to that.
Well, that's a perfect example. Okay. Um, LinkedIn is probably one of the most powerful tools on the planet, but people don't know how to use it. Okay. Um, they treat it almost like Facebook. Okay. People jump on Facebook and they say, "Oh, I have 10,000 friends." Like, those people don't know you. You do not know them either. Okay. You need to build real relationships. Okay. If you and I were in a car accident right now, God forbid, but if we were in a car accident and we needed a personal injury attorney, trust me, I got one in my network and I know them because I make it a point to know people in my network. So when people reach out to me on LinkedIn, I send them a little note, personal note, and I'm like, "Hey, you know what? Thank you for connecting. Tell me a little more about what you do. Oh, and deeper than that, let me know if I can assist you with anything." Okay. And someone might have been following me for months and they're like, "You know what? As a matter of fact, Tommy, there is something. I have a question." And next thing you know, they're my client. Okay. Because these are real relationships. I build real relationships. And I think it's very important to build relationships and to nurture relationships. There's nothing that I hate more than someone that just pops out of the blue and they're like, "Hi, I build websites." And they try to sell you stuff. I'm like, "Man, we haven't even said hello yet." But people don't understand the importance of building a warm market. And it's just about relationships because you don't just buy a product, you buy people. It's a fact. Okay. You buy people. Okay. There's times, I'm sure, with you've spent money with people because you really like them and you want to support them. Okay. Um, there's my radio, my neighbor here in LA. He's a big radio DJ, and when he gets off the air every day, he says, "Thank you for listening because you had a choice. We appreciate that you spent your time with us." I think that's very important because people have to understand you do have choices. Okay, so you need to build real, lasting relationships and to maintain them. Like on LinkedIn, like this morning, I had about 15 birthdays. People in my network, and it already says happy birthday. All you have to do is press send, 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 send. Just go down the line, send, 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 and people start hitting you back. "Oh wow, thank you, Tommy. I appreciate that." And then I'll say something like, "Hey, enjoy your day. You really deserve that." Okay, and people really appreciate that I took the time to do that. And again, it's building real relationships, and you just need to take the time to nurture them and show people that you really care and you're here for them if you're needed.
What strikes me about you, among a number of things, is your clarity of um, more than purpose. You know that in order for you to experience opportunities, you have to create them. And so you don't go about, and you've not had a history of going about begging for anything. You believe you're responsible for creating what you're experiencing, thus, all of your experiences. Can you speak to that, especially as a person in the United States? In these United States, we've got a lot of folks, right? A small number of people compared to the rest of the world, but a lot of folks with a lot of capacity, a lot of resources, and yet many of those individuals don't demonstrate that they have what they need in order to create what they really want. So how dare you? How did you do it?
It's funny. It's funny you say that. Again, I stumbled my way. Okay. The name of this program, and we titled it, and you titled it, "Copy That."
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Copy that is a term used on our movie sets. okay, on any movie set. Okay, everybody has walkie-talkies, and if someone were to bark out an instruction, the person that instruction was directed to would get on their rover and say, copy that. Okay. Now, I just believe that everything is duplicatable. Okay. So when Blair and I started our production company, Intrepid Inc., we just decided that we wanted to create employment instead of begging for it. So literally, I took it upon myself, like both of us, we have phone books that are really deep because we've been in the business for a very, very long time. And I would take people to lunch, and lunch might cost me $100. Okay. But I would sit that person there. I let them order whatever they wanted to order. And I sit there with a glass, with a glass of iced tea and a notepad. And I'm like, how'd you get your movie made? Get out of here. Okay. Break it down to me. How'd the studio become involved? What? Okay. How'd you get your stars attached? Really? Okay. How'd you get your distribution? And they broke everything down to me. And I began to see very clearly what the business model was. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but film and television are actually two different businesses. Okay. So I did that in both film and television, and I saw that they all did this, they all did that, they all did this, they all did that. And all of these people were remarkably successful at what they did. So even the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. Everything is duplicatable. So once I learned the blueprint, we just began to duplicate that process. And that's how we started building our company.
Awesome. I firmly believe in the power of mastermind, and you and Blair are demonstrating that.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that the two of you chose to come together and create? And that's literally what you're doing all day long, every single day. You're creating. And I want to come back to the notion of creation in a second, too.
Well, he and I clicked just as people. It wasn't even about being creatives. We just clicked as people. And sometimes you just meet somebody and you just vibe. And I look at Blair like he's my big brother. He's one of my favorite people on this planet to this day. And deeper than that, it doesn't hurt that he's one of my favorite actors. So I respect that man very much, and he has a mutual respect, I think, from me. And we are able to just take ideas and go out into the world and make them viable for the marketplace, which is what we've learned to do over the years. So he and I obviously have grown in different directions, and at some point, and Blair, like he just directed a film. It's an amazing piece that he just directed. And I have some ventures on my own with another gentleman I grew up with. His name is Bentley Kyle Evans. He created the Jamie Foxx show. He executive produced Martin. Wow, he's got like 4 or 5 shows on the air right now. Bentley, Tyler Perry, and Byron Allen are the only 3 black men in America who own their own movie studios. So I just, certain people you just click and vibe with. Bentley grew up around the corner from me, and he's one of my dearest friends. And we just clicked one day. We were hanging out, and it's like, man, how come we never made money together? How come we never did this together? And so here we go. But again, it just becomes organic. I say this all the time. I don't have a job. I hang with my friends and make money. We do things that we thoroughly enjoy. There are a lot of people that wake up and go to a job that they hate every single day because they're trying to pay for their stuff. They're just trying to pay for their stuff. Now, I, for one, and I want to say this very respectfully because I don't want to disrespect anyone, but I feel that when you take a job, no matter what they pay you, that's the amount of money that you took as a bribe to forget about your own dreams. Because you're working on somebody else's dream. That's not yours. That's not yours. And it took me a long time to learn that. Long time. Quick story. So Blair and I, our company was about to grow in a direction that I was a little uncomfortable with because I was kind of unskilled in that area. Blair said, no, what you worried about? Quit tripping. I said, no, man, you don't understand. He said, no, you don't understand. He said, man, it's just us and God, dog. Why are you tripping? I said, man, but you don't. He said, okay, I'll tell you what. My daughter's birthday is Saturday. She wants to go skydiving. You going? I said, nah, man. I'm not. Okay. So her birthday was not that Saturday. It was the following week. Okay. So his kids found out that Mr. Tommy was scared to jump out of an airplane. Okay. So now they start clapping. Okay. So now I gotta go. Okay. Now on Saturday. Okay. So around Thursday, I started losing sleep. And it's like, oh my God, oh my God. So long story short, when you are 15,000 feet in the air and they slide that door open, oh, it's real now. It's real. Okay. So it's no turning back. So, so when I jumped out of that airplane, I had an instructor strapped to me. I got to say this. This even made it more scary. I'm just under 6 feet. My instructor was 5'1" and she was female. And I'm thinking, if something goes wrong, what are you going to do? Okay. So long story short, when I touched down, it was the most amazing experience I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, what was I afraid of? It's all in my mind. Okay. God put the greatest things on the other side of fear. That's okay.
Oh, that
So
that
now
is
I feel
real.
it. I can do anything. Anything. Okay. But you have to have people around you, and that's why I love Blair so much, because this dude, like, he's not afraid of anything. That's just how he is. Like, there's a running joke with us. Okay. When I was an actor, if my show would get canceled, okay, I handle it completely different than how Blair does. Like, Blair's show get canceled, man, he's not tripping. He's turned the corner already. But for me, I would lock myself in the house for like 2 weeks straight and grow a beard and not get a haircut, and I'm depressed. Is my career over? Okay. He just handles himself a different way, and it kind of sets a tone for how I should handle myself. Okay. And just be in control of the things that you can control, and the things that you can't, just keep it moving. Okay.
Awesome.
That's what it is.
That's powerful.
You think
Related to that, you talk about everything is a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were highlighting a major inspiration to you, what did you mean by that? And who's in that circle? What's the philosophy of that circle? Can you go into some of that depth that you shared before?
100%. Okay. Here's a lesson. I can't even take credit for it. I actually got this from my mentor. My mentor owns over 70 hotels. He's a billionaire 8 times over. Okay. And he has this amazing house. And it's not even his only house, but this particular house that I like most, the whole house does not have one edge in it. It's all circles. It's all circles. Wow. And I asked him about that, and he said, you're the only person that has ever asked me that, Tommy. And he said, here's the philosophy of it all. He said, everything is in circles. He said, all the planets go around a circle around the sun. He said, the earth spins in a circle. He said, you're in diapers when you're a kid, you're in diapers when you get old. Your parents used to take care of you. Now it's time for you to take care of them. Okay. What's old becomes new again. Everything is a circle. And once you understand that, okay, you'll start to see that what you put out into the world, it comes back to you. That's 100% true. So I believe in that. And then, as far as your physical circle is concerned, who's in your circle? You have to be very cognizant of who's in your circle, because this is a fact. You are the subtotal of the 5 closest people to you. Okay. That's a fact. Okay. So if all your friends are, standing on the corner and drinking beer and just hanging out, then guess what? That's what you're going to aspire to be. Okay. So you need to check who's in your circle. And deeper than that, what's the philosophy in your circle? Okay. What is the mindset? Because do you have people, let's just say you have a dream and you have a fire to make this dream come true. Do the people in your circle put wood on the fire and help it burn?
Mm.
Or do they pee on it and try to put it out?
Mm.
Okay. You got to be very cognizant of who's in your circle. That's a fact. Okay. So let's just say, I'm a 7. Okay. If I were to put myself all together and just figure out how to rate myself, I think it's fair to say I'm a 7. Okay. Now, if I hung out with 6s because it made me feel good about myself, and those 6s hung out with 5s for the same reason, and those 5s with 4s, next thing you know, we're all going to be at the homeless shelter. Okay. You need to hang out with people who move you, motivate you, inspire you, make you laugh, take you somewhere you've never been to, educate you, show you something you've never seen. Okay. That's what my friends do to me. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. They stretch you, and sometimes they stretch you and make you be uncomfortable. Like when Blair had me jump out of that plane, I was uncomfortable. Okay. But it really taught me how to stretch myself, because after I did that, and truth be told, I was afraid of heights at the time. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's a bridge here in Los Angeles going into Long Beach. Okay. It is so high off the ground. It's scary. Okay. I would be in the car driving over that bridge and I'm shaking and I'm sweating. I'm like, I'll spaz out. Okay. Now it's nothing to me. It's nothing. Okay. It's because I jumped out of a plane at 14,000 feet. It's nothing to me. Okay. And everything that I feared was all in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to have people around you that make you think that way.
And I love the additional statement you shared about the average person spinning clockwise, just spinning clockwise.
Mm-hmm.
And the non-average person's spinning counterclockwise. Mm-hmm. You want to illuminate that more?
100%. Okay. Most people, they chase money. Okay. And my mentor says this all the time. He says, they'll never get it because you're chasing money. Okay. And their circle spins clockwise. Okay. He said, people who are extremely successful, their circle spins counterclockwise. And here's what I mean. Kobe was a friend of mine. And Kobe Bryant, he mastered his craft. Kobe was in the gym every day at 4:30 in the morning. Most of his teammates were just getting home from the club. Kobe mastered his craft, okay? And he dedicated himself to mastering his craft. So he didn't have to chase money. Money chased him. So he didn't make his circle go clockwise. He made it go counterclockwise by changing his circumstance. And because he mastered his craft, Nike, Sprite, McDonald's, Gatorade, here, Kobe, here's millions of dollars. Please do business with us. And it's because he mastered his craft. Okay. So when you dedicate yourself and you master your craft, you don't have to chase money. Money will chase you. Okay. Case in point, I was just talking to one of my clients this morning. Okay. I don't care if you're a welder. If you're a welder, but you've mastered your craft, companies like Rolls-Royce, they will come find you and they will pay you top dollar because they want master craftsmen to work on their coach works. That's a fact. There is no elevator to the top. You got to take the stairs. You have to put in the work. That's a fact. Okay. But most people, they're content with doing just enough to get by. That's cool if that's for you, but you have to surround yourself with people who don't think that way. And you have to be of the same mindset and work ethic. Okay. There's this thing that we like to say. Okay. And we call it cloth talk. Here's what cloth talk is. There are certain people, they just operate on a different level. Okay. LeBron James. Okay. Kobe Bryant, Deion Sanders, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, all these people, they say all the time, oh, they talk so much. Oh, they're so arrogant. Oh, they're so arrogant. No. Could it be that you're just not cut of that cloth? Could it be that you just don't speak that language.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because when Kobe and LeBron would see each other, they always slap hands, give each other the shoulder, and they have a mutual respect for each other because it's like, hey, homie, I see you. I know you're in the gym at 4:30. You know why? Because I'm there too.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a mutual respect. So on the street, people say, game recognized game, right? Okay. Now, all of those people are champions. Not just champions, but champions at the highest level. And I promise you, they all understand each other. Okay. They all understand each other. And it's because when you're cut of a different cloth, okay, you speak cloth talk.
You got it.
So when me and my friends get together, okay, we have cloth talk. We're not gossiping. We don't talk about who the Kardashians are dating and all that kind of, man. Listen, we talk about ideas. Okay. We talk about ideas. And if we get together and hang out over somebody's house for the weekend or whatever, we say, hey man, let's get together, let's have cloth talk. Okay. And it's so organic because it's our mindset. We could be out bowling. And somebody will say something funny and we're all like, ooh, you know what? And next thing you know, it's paying us. It's because that's how we think. Okay. So no disrespect to anybody else, but sometimes you just have to clear your palate. Okay. And sometimes ideas are right in front of you. You just don't see them because you occupy yourself with what's going on Instagram and all that stuff. Okay. And I think all that stuff is a distraction. Okay. One time I was in the car with my mentor, and he said, and he always drops these jewels on me, like these major jewels. And he goes, Tommy, what's the wealthiest place on earth? And I'm like, Dubai, no, Africa. I'm saying all this crazy thing. And he's just sitting there and he's just smiling. And then he said, no, silly, it's the graveyard. I said, man, I'm not following you on that one, Mike. You got to break that down to me. He said, it's the cure for cancer. He said, it is, there are people who have great ideas. There are people who have ideas to add on to things that already exist to make them better. But they say, I'll get around to it. You know what? Next week, you know what? On New Year's, he said, do me a favor. Promise me you won't be one of those people. And he reached out and shook my hand. And he made me promise him, and he contractually obligated me with this handshake that I would not be one of those people. So therefore, he's holding me accountable to make sure that if I have something in my mind, make sure I get it completed. That's what we do.
Invaluable. Invaluable. Wow.
I think it's very important. Again, you see, there's a theme here. Okay, the people that I have around me, they hold me accountable. Okay, and then all my friends are givers. Okay, I don't know if I shared this one with you, but this is a great story. We went and had cloth talk weekend one time, and all of us were in Vegas, and we got up and we had breakfast, and it was about 9 of us. We had a great breakfast. Okay, and when the waitress walked by, one of my boys said, excuse me, miss, can you make sure I get that check? And one of my other boys heard him. I said, no, man, I got it. And then all the way around the table, people were like, I got it. So one of my friends had on a baseball cap. So everybody threw their card in the baseball cap and had the waitress come over and put her hand in and close her eyes. And the card was my boy David. And Dave was like, yeah. And it's because we're all competitive, okay? But everyone was a giver. Everyone was a giver. And everyone wanted to pick up that tab, okay? So the mentality of us holding each other accountable is everything. It's everything, okay?
I love it. I'm not even going to ask another question about it. I'm going to let it just sit because it's brilliant as it is. Your outcomes, your achievements, your accomplishments, your successes, You're leaning in, as your dad would ask you and your sister when you were young, what did you fail at today? You're leaning into failure in order to get to those spaces. Did not shelter you from one thing that you talked about, that it doesn't matter the millions you've made. It doesn't matter the billionaires that you experience. You have a particular syndrome that you illuminated. Can you speak to that? Because that's powerful. Because
Wow.
I know too many folks who are walking around with that, and they're and the rest of the folks, the rest of us are like, oh, that person has come. They've arrived. They arrived several times and they just knocked it out the park. And yet that syndrome is ever present. You speak to that?
100%. Okay. I'm glad you touched on that. Okay. I have what is called imposter syndrome. Okay. Imposter syndrome is it's a complex that people develop when they achieve a certain amount of success and they feel like that they don't deserve it. Okay. Um, I'm a high school graduate. I went to UCLA, but I never finished school. So, technically, I'm a high school graduate. Okay. And my mentor, I sit on his executive board. He owns over 70 hotels. And I sit on his board, and all the way around the table are men from Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, Yale, Cornell, MIT, Carnegie Mellon, USC, and so on, all these prestigious schools. And then there's me. Hi, guys, Palisades High School. Right? And I feel very insecure. Okay. So imposter syndrome, I suffer from that in a very, very big way because all the things that I have accomplished as a producer, I've sold shows to 9 different networks. I produced big movies and stage plays that have gone across the country. I have never taken a class as a producer. Okay. As an actor, I've co-starred or guest starred on over 70 different titles. I had 2 TV series. I was on a soap for a long time. I've never taken a class as an actor. Okay. Now, that's not to say that I didn't study. I want to be clear about that.
You had to.
Because I did study very, very hard, but it's my successes were not traditional. So I kind of have a complex about that. But then again, I surround myself with people who recognize my accomplishments. And I think that that's really, really important because it becomes normal. Like my parents had me sent to a school. Basically, they wanted me to see the other side of the tracks. It gave me a very interesting perspective because Sylvester Stallone would come down and play soccer with us when we were kids, and I was like, he's just like me, okay. And it kind of normalized it, you know. Or everybody's mother and father were in, big producers and directors and stuff like that, and I go over their house and I'm like, wow, but it just kind of normalized it when I talk to them because they're just regular people. So it just kind of made it a little easier for me to see that, hey, they did it, I could do it too. Okay. So one time what actually broke I still have it, but actually what broke my thinking on imposter syndrome just this much, we were leaving one of our board meetings one day, and everybody was standing downstairs waiting for their car at the valet. And one of the guys on the board that I just told you about came up and tapped me on my shoulder and said, hey, Tom, listen, let me talk to you for a second. So he pulls me to the side and he goes, listen, man, hey, listen, you mind if I take you to lunch next week? I want to get in your ear about something. I'm like, yeah, cool. Okay, we can go to lunch. Cool. So he took me to lunch, and about a half hour in, I started getting nervous because, at first it was just, preliminary stuff, so where you from and that kind of thing, we got a little deeper. Okay. And I was kind of starting to get, the feeling in my stomach. I'm getting nervous because, man, he's going to find me out. He's going to find me out. So I literally just said to him, I said, you know what? I get real intimidated when I sit with everybody on the board. And he goes, well, why is that? I said, man, because the education level around the table is crazy. I said, man, I don't have that. And he said, stop me. He said, Tommy, knock it off, knock it off, knock it off. He said, first of all, last I checked, you're the only one at the table with an Emmy. He said, deeper than that, You may not have a PhD from some fancy school, or he said, but you damn sure have a PhD at what you do. And you are with us and on the board because you deserve to be there and we respect your opinions. I was like, yo, that's crazy. And when he said that to me, my swag was turned up to 1,000. When I got up from that table, my walk was different. And all it was somebody who recognized me for being just who I am. And that's it. And it just helped me just move a different way. Okay. And again, there's that theme again. I have people around me that support me and push me and move and motivate me. Okay. And that's what we all need. That's the space that you need to constantly be in. Okay. If that makes sense. That makes sense a little bit.
You said to me, your network is your net worth. And you
100%.
just demonstrated that power of that. Do you want to say anything else in that regards?
Well, yeah, again, as a coach, here's a great example. Okay. I don't have a website. I don't advertise. I'm not on social media, but I have a huge coaching business. And again, it's because I'm backed by LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we still have some technical difficulties. Okay, we can't hear you. Tommy, you're on mute. You're on mute. Okay. You're on mute. You're on mute. Jethro, can you unmute him? Okay, you're muted.
Hello?
There you go. You were muted. I'm sure you were sharing gems.
I do not understand this. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll say this real quick. Okay. I believe that, again, your network is your net worth. Okay. Here's a perfect example. Okay. Like, I don't advertise. I don't, are you hearing me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. I don't advertise. I don't have a website. I kind of fell into the coaching business. And as that grew, I was able to package that and present it to the marketplace, to the right people. Because people say, how'd you get backed by LinkedIn? And I'm like, well, I know some people. Okay. And that's a perfect example of how to utilize the people around you. But then again, my credentials, they speak pretty loud. As a coach, I always ask people, why did you choose me as opposed to anyone else? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, Tommy, you were about results. You didn't try to sell me a hat and a t-shirt and a DVD and a book. It was about my results and getting me from point A to point B. And I seem to be able to do that effectively. So when my clients want to build a business or build their brand, I just want to know what their end goal is. It's very simple, actually. And then I remanufacture it backwards or reverse engineer it, because I can't drive from my house to your house unless I know what streets I'm going to take. So I'm pretty prolific in business, so I'm able to navigate those streets very well. And awesome. We seem to have good results.
Well, I want to share your contact information again. So folks, please take a screenshot. Tommy, when you talk with me, you mentioned some things that really fell within the space that I inhabit with colleagues across the country and beyond. In the area of financial education, in order to not only inspire growth, but actually give people the tools so that they understand how to build their life to ensure not only financial independence for themselves, but leave generational wealth. So it goes not just one generation, 3 generations, 8 generations, but literally as long as the infrastructure is there, it is continuous, because that education continues, is transferred, it's deepened, it's enhanced, and all of a sudden, our communities are walking around with a level of confidence that's born not out of cockiness, but it's born out of real understanding of the rules of money, of the infrastructure that's in place, of certain codified codes that the ultra huge and even the common banks use, corporations and multi-billionaires. And so most of us don't know though that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
yet when you were talking, you talked about the difference between being rich and being wealthy. You talked about the importance of being an asset to people, which you've already illuminated today. Can you
Mm-hmm.
speak to that a little bit more and more profoundly?
Yeah. Um, Again, like my mother, she always let us know that if you knew better, you do better. Okay. And most of us don't really even take the time to brush up on financial education and to really edify ourselves with how to build real wealth. Okay. My mentor likes to say, I make love to my money. And I'm like, well, what do you mean, Mike? He says, the concept of making love is designed to multiply. Okay.
Mhm.
And he said, I make love to my money to make more. Now, here's what's real interesting. If my mentor walked in here right now, you probably think he was homeless. This dude is wearing board shorts and flip flops and a raggedy T-shirt that looked like he was wearing it yesterday. He don't care. He doesn't work for you. He's not trying to get a job from you. He's not trying to date you. He don't care what you think. And that's a very valuable asset that I admire. Because watch this. I told you my parents had me bust. So I went to a school called Palisades High School here in Los Angeles, very illustrious high school. And then I went to Beverly Hills High School all 3 years for summer school. So I was around kids who had more money than they could ever spend in lifetimes. Okay. Now watch this. I see one of my white friends. I'm saying, oh, bro, man, I love your pants, man. Those are cool. Dude, you like them? Got them on Melrose for $8, right? And then I come back where I live and I say, man, those some nice pants. Yeah, fool, these are Gucci, 600, right? And on top of that, they're sitting on top of some $300 Jordans. Okay. Now that was really interesting to me because as a kid, we're just trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
Thinking like, how come the kid with the $8 pants, he lives in a $22 million house? Okay. And the guy with the $300 Jordans and the $600 pants, his parents are struggling. Like, man, it was confusing. Okay. So I really started to learn that people who were rich don't want you to know anything about them.
Mhm.
Okay. And it seems as though, like in my business, I don't want to put anybody on blast or anything, but man, there are people who are on reality shows and man, they're living all extravagant. And I'm like, come on, man, I know what you make. Knock it off. Just knock it off. Okay. But they're projecting this image, and I'm like, well, for who? Like, who are you doing that for? So I just had a speaking engagement the other day, and one of the kids was asking me, Tom, what's your social media? And I said, well, I'm not on social media. He said, well, why not? You gotta let people know what you're doing. I said, well, people like who? I do the hiring. So I broke it down to him about how we got a great talk about social media. And I was sharing with him, I said, if you go on Instagram right now, I said, everybody's throwing money. Everybody's popping bottles. Everybody's making it rain. Everybody's doing. I said, come on, man. We don't live like that. Just keep it real. Okay. I said, if you really want that lifestyle, if that's really what you want to do, then why don't you take that same time and energy that you projecting all that onto Instagram for people, and why don't you take that same energy and really go be that person for real? Okay. It's just what I believe. Okay. I have this thing, it's a recurring theme on my LinkedIn. I tell people move in silence. Move in silence. Okay. Not everyone genuinely wants to see you succeed.
Got it.
So people can't hate on what they don't know. So say nothing. Say nothing. Okay. So if I won the lottery tomorrow, people say, "Oh my God, Tom, how you been? I haven't seen you." Here's my answer. Man, just trying to make it, man. You know, just trying to do my thing. Okay. Because again, people will figure out how to manipulate that situation. Okay?
You'll find that you have family you didn't know you had.
100%. Okay. But see, people can't hate on what they don't know. So just be quiet. Trust me, your life will be so much easier.
Yeah.
So
the power is in something else you said. So the wealthy are wealthy for the most part because they're doing something profound. They're helping other people. Speak to that.
Well, okay. There's so many people right now, and this like really bothers me, and I don't want to offend anybody in your audience, but it really bothers me personally. They'll walk up to a homeless person on Instagram and they got their phone and they're filming this person and they give them $100, right? You're exploiting someone's downtrodden situation to make you look better. Okay. Now, I know people personally who write checks for millions of dollars and you know nothing about it. Okay. Because it's the right thing to do. It has nothing to do with, you know, building their profile on Instagram or whatever it is. Okay. I think that's terrible that people do that. You might put that homeless person's business out into the world, and that person's already embarrassed about their situation, and someone from their family might see that or whatever. I think that is so uncool. But we have become a society that is all about gratification and you know, putting ourselves up on a pedestal and look at me, look at me, look at me. I think that's just terrible. I think that we should all treat each other with respect and kindness. And there's something that I want to touch on real quick. You know, we are literally, our political climate right now has made us, put us in a position where we have to choose sides. Are you a Democrat or Republican? One's red, one's blue, right? We have literally become Crips and Bloods, red and blue.
And it's all an illusion. No
matter what, they're down with their gang. No matter how right or wrong they are, they just roll with their gang. Okay, now watch this. I was recently on that 405 parking lot that I was talking about, 405 freeway. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and it was a terrible accident right in front of me. Terrible. So everybody merged to the right. Everybody jumped out of their cars. It was an SUV that had turned sideways and smoking like crazy. It looked like it was about to catch fire, or it may have already been on fire. Okay. And you could hear the people inside screaming and screaming. And there was a gentleman who jumped on top of the on top of the car, and he had a tire iron, and he was hitting it as hard as he could, and the windows would not shatter. Right. And the smoke was getting worse and worse. So a gentleman with one of those 18-wheelers that had pulled over, he ran to his truck. He said, "I got a fire extinguisher." So it was getting smokier and smokier. Okay. And it was about 20, 30 people standing around, and everybody's trying to break into the car. I don't know what it was, but my spirit told everybody, "Hey, we could turn it over." So we all just started pushing the car and rocking it and pushing it and rocking it and pushing it. And it would go all the way up and then it'd come back down. So we did that 3 or 4 times. And then we finally got it up. We got the people out. Okay. It wasn't about Republican. It wasn't about Democrat. It wasn't about any of that. It was about, we needed each other. That's all it was about. Okay. And that to me is very, very important for us to realize that, man, it's not even about all this stuff, man. That's an illusion. Don't even get caught up in that, because there's some things I'm Republican about. There's some things I'm Democratic about. I just want things to be right. That's it. And what most people feel that way. Okay. So we're doing some terrible things right now. Okay. I'm not really one to stand on a political soapbox or anything like that, but I just believe in live and let live. Okay. There's a friend of mine up the street from me. He's gay, coolest guy you ever want to meet. Right? I don't understand how people can take off their job and go downtown and hold a picket sign because I'm against gay marriage. Okay, well, if you're against gay marriage, then don't marry a man. Mm-hmm. Very simple. Okay, but don't knock what somebody else wants to do because you're against that. So we're just in this space that most people who are really successful at what they do, they understand their lane. Okay, they understand their lane and it's very clearly defined. Okay, and back to that, like I think not only for your financial security, for your emotional security, your family security, and everything else. Okay, you need to really define who you are and how you choose to navigate. Okay, do you know that most people don't even know who they are because they've never been asked that question. They're just taught go to school, get out, punch a clock, go work for somebody else. That's what they're taught. But when you ask them, well, gee, what do you want to do? Well, who are you? They can't even answer that. Mm-hmm. So when people come and interview with me, they have the big, huge resume with a PhD and MBA and all that stuff on their resume. But I don't care because I'm creative. Okay, I want to know, are you going to add to the company or are you going to disrupt it? Because keep in mind, you don't just buy a product, you buy people. Remember I said that. Okay, so I asked them that question. So why don't you tell me a little about yourself? Oh, wow. That's a good question. No. Well, you know. I'm like, no, I don't know. That's your job. And I watch them completely fall apart because they haven't even taken the time to really figure out who they are. Now, when you walk out your front door every day, you're a salesperson. If you meet a great guy or a great girl, you're selling yourself. If you go to a job interview, you're selling yourself. If you own your own business, you're selling yourself. Okay? You need to know what the product is. You need to know what your own product is. What are you selling? And most people don't even know. Mm-hmm. They don't even know. Like if you were to ask me right now, I told you about the about the gentleman, and he was pitching me a cooking show. I'm like, oh, yes. I don't do cooking shows. I'm very clear on that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if someone came to me with a script and said, "Hey, Tom, man, why don't you read my script?" I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm not gonna read your script. Okay, I'm not gonna read it. Why don't you tell me what the log line is? A log line in film and television is 3 sentences or less, and it's gonna tell me every single thing about your script. Okay. All right, so tell me what your log line is. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, it's a sci-fi thriller. I'm like, stop right there. I don't do sci-fi. I'm very clear on what I do and what I don't do. Okay, most people don't understand that. Okay, once you are clearly defined as a person, man, it's almost like you're in a smoky room and all the smoke gets cleared out. And it's like, yo, I see clearer now. It's because now you know who you are. And now you know what to present out to the public or in the marketplace, and it makes it easier to navigate, and it makes it easier for people to see you truly for who you are.
That is on point. And ideally, we would be instilling in every child, the moment that child took his or her breath, an honoring of their spirit, and then every step of the way, reinforce, give them evidence, have them do the self-reflection, go deep and illuminate who they are. And that may change over time with experience, with exposure, with insights, with failures, with successes, etc. But the power of knowing self, starting and ending with self, it's like your mentor talking about the graveyard. Mm-hmm. If you know yourself, you're possibly less likely to end up in the graveyard with your dreams unfulfilled.
100%.
It's been an absolute delight, as I knew it would be. Thank you so much. And I want to just illuminate your contact information for all to take advantage of. This gentleman, Mr. Morgan Jr., is available to those of you who may be interested. And I'm certain that he could be of service to everyone is just all about what you want. And if you don't know clearly and you can leverage his services, said take advantage of it because he'll help you get there. Tommy Morgan Jr., it's an honor.
It's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure. Thank you for having me, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you, your beautiful family, that in your close family, your extended family. Just an honor to be in the space with you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, everyone else, gratitude to all of you. We had the honor of having Tommy Morgan Jr. here today. And thanks to Jet, who works in the background, a remarkable young man as well. We get to say to you, we wish you many fortunes, and for you to be able to share those with as many people as you'd like. So enjoy the Thanksgiving spell, the holiday spell. We wish for you only great fortunes. And Wado for choosing to leverage us to be inspired and ideally walk away with tools that you can use immediately. Appreciation. We honor each one of you.